New York City, 1890. A beacon of hope for millions across the Atlantic, but for many, a gateway to a struggle they would not survive. This is an AI reconstruction of a world lost to time, a world of grit and forgotten dreams. Let us walk the streets of the 19th century frontier where hope met the harsh reality of stone and steel. Today, we dive into the realities of the Lower East Side. This isn't the New York of postcards. It's a world where 80% of the population was crammed into decaying tenements. Why did most immigrants never make it? Let's explore the reconstructed facts of their survival and the systems that failed them in the name of progress. The struggle began in steerage, cramped, windowless quarters where disease was already thinning the ranks before land was even in sight. By the time they saw the Statue of Liberty, many were already broken by the journey, the lack of air, and the overwhelming uncertainty of what lay ahead in the new world. It was a test of the soul before the feet even touched the shore. Ellis Island was the Isle of Tears. Medical inspectors checked for fitness with cold, mechanical precision. A single cough or a limp could mean immediate deportation, the end of the dream before it began. 1 in 5 were detained. Many were sent back into the dark Atlantic, their names forgotten and their hopes shattered by a chalk mark. Most ended up in the tenements, designed for profit, not people. These buildings were pressure cookers of ambition and desperation. Density reached 300,000 people per square mile, the highest on Earth, making space a lethal luxury for the poor who built the very city they couldn't afford to live in. One room for 10 people, working, sleeping, and eating in 12 square feet of darkness. Light was a stranger, and privacy didn't exist. This wasn't a temporary stop. For many, it was a life sentence of unremitting toil in the shadows of the growing, indifferent city that rose above them. To pay the exorbitant rents, families took in lodgers. Complete strangers slept in the same rooms as families. Privacy was sacrificed for survival, leading to moral panic and social friction that the city's elite used to demonize the poor, ignoring the structural rot they were forced to live in daily. This was the crowded reality of the Lower East Side. To pay the rent, everyone worked. The garment industry was built on the backs of immigrant labor in these sweatshops. Exhaustion was a permanent state, and the dust-filled air destroyed lungs in months. Labor was cheap, but life in the factories was cheaper still in the name of progress and profit. Safety regulations didn't exist in the industrial age. A single slip meant losing a limb, and for an immigrant, disability was a one-way ticket to the street. The factories were steel traps for the unwary, demanding everything and giving nothing back to those who built the very foundations of the city. Childhood ended at age 6. Breaker boys and textile doffers worked 12-hour shifts in hazardous conditions. They grew up without schools or sunlight, their bodies stunted by unremitting labor. The dream of education was traded for the reality of the machine and the cold floor of the factory. Sanitation was a nightmare. Garbage collection was rare in the poor districts. The air was a cocktail of coal smoke and rotting waste. In 1890, the smell of New York was the smell of decay, a silent killer that lived in the gutters and the shared privies of the overcrowded tenements. Tuberculosis thrived in the dark, unventilated hallways. It killed 1/3 of all adults in the tenements. In some blocks, entire families were wiped out in a single season. The lack of air was the primary executioner, and the city's infrastructure failed the poor at every turn, leaving them to suffocate in silence. But they didn't just suffer, they fought. The late 1890s saw the birth of modern labor unions in these very slums. They realized that while the city was designed to divide them, their only hope was to unite. The strikes of this era, like the uprising of the 20,000, laid the groundwork for the modern middle class and the safety we take for granted today. Bellevue Hospital was often the final stop. For many, it was a place to die among strangers. Charity care was a stigma that kept many away until it was far too late. Thousands were buried without names every year in the potter's field of Hart Island. Forgotten by the city, they tried to join and build. Hart Island was the final destination for those who fell through the cracks. Buried in nameless mass graves, 3 boxes high, these immigrants became the silent foundation of the city. Their dreams and identities were lost to the cold soil of the Bronx. a testament to the unforgiving nature of the 19th century urban frontier where the poor were often erased. But the darkness was being challenged. Reformers like Jacob Riis used the new technology of flash photography to expose the truth to the wealthy elite. His work, How the Other Half Lives, shocked the conscience of the city, leading to the first real building codes and sanitation laws in American history. These flashes of light were the first steps toward a more humane city. In 1890, the American frontier was declared closed. The city became the new frontier, a vertical wilderness where the stakes were life and death. The modern America was being hammered into existence on a bed of steel and grief, built by those who climbed the iron skeletons of the future city they would never own. Most didn't make it in their own lifetime, but by surviving, they changed the laws, the culture, and the very soul of America. Their failure was systemic. Their survival was a human triumph. Let us never forget the cost of the path they paved for the New York we know today. Their dreams are our foundation. And yet, in the quiet corners of the city, the silence remains. There are no monuments for the millions who failed, only the streets themselves. They are the silent witnesses to a cost we still haven't fully counted. Their stories are the foundation of every dream that still lives in New York. We walk in their shadows, honoring the grit of the forgotten. When we walk the streets of New York today, we walk on the dreams of those who came before. Every skyscraper stands on a dream that someone died for in 1890. The city remembers its grit, its shadows, and its resilience. New York, built on the forgotten and the brave. We are their living legacy,